Yes, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very happy and pleased to be here. And I really liked also all the presentation I've already seen. Thank you also very much. I'm really impressed by the work that you've done. Especially, I like the aspect, for example, of Nikita telling about street art festivals organized by artists, or like telling about the benefit, which I completely agree. And I like the aspect of Alex, like talking about artistic freedom and the educational part of street art festivals. So this is also a very interesting and important topic. And I really like also the social aspect that Maria presented right now. And I think it's a very important thing to have impact with street art in the middle of society, starting from the youth. And now I tell you something different. I am a street artist by myself too, and I'm a festival organizer, and I put the focus more on community. And the reason why I can explain that best when I take a little step back in history and explain my street art experience I had in the year 2007, which was kind of a turning point in my life. So I start my presentation and share my screen. So a little moment. So I start from the beginning. Okay, here we are. Do you see everything? Sure. Yeah. So, the very first experience I did abroad was in Grazie di Cotatone 2007. This is a very traditional street art festival, which is about 47 years already taking place every year. And it's a very traditional chalk art festival where artists paint mostly religious themes. And I participated there the very first time in this year. Here you see me, little Fredda, in the so this is the festival. And now you see me in the festival I was talking about. Myself chalking on the ground, little Fredda, 21 years old, making first experiences abroad with chalking. And as you can see, I'm kind of more interested in what happens around me than my own painting. And we see that there were a lot of colleagues of myself. We came to this spot in Italy with about 10 German artists. We meet up there and we painted like side by side and shared this nice experience with each other and shared our passion. But we not only painted together, we also did a nice boat trip together and had a nice kind of holiday time. And when the festival came to an end, we couldn't get enough of this nice groups feeling, and we thought, or we came up with the idea to spend another week together at the Lake Garda, which was quite close by the festival area. So we went there and have a nice beach holiday in the sun, and drinking together, eating together, dancing together. And afterwards, when we spent a whole week of street artist holiday, we decided, to still continue our community and meet up 1 week later in Cologne in order to make a big, huge street painting together. And that's what we did. So afterwards, we went there and met again in Cologne, the same artists. And with 10 artists, we started painting together, one huge, big painting. And it turned out to be a real big success on both sides. Like the artists were like in heaven, I think. We were so happy and so proud of creating such a big thing of about 6 by 20 meters. And the public was also very amazed, and it was crazy the good positive response we got. We also got so much head money we couldn't even carry away from this place. Of course, this was not the objective of this event. We really wanted just to share our time together, be creative together, enjoy this co-creative process, and make nice experiences. And actually, this was really the moment where I got inspired and thought, this is something I really want to have more in my life. I want to enjoy more these kind of situations of community, of sharing art. And this was the year when I decided to become a professional street artist. Before it was more like a hobby, but from this point on, I visited whatever festival I could to participate and to chalk and to paint on the streets and to improve my skills and get to know more people, more artists. And yeah, that's why I tell you all this, because this happening in this year was really a turning point for my life. But in my seeking of nice street art experiences, actually it was hard to find this feeling we had in this year, or this experience again, until I decided to organize street art festivals by myself, which I started right after my studies of marketing management and tourism and event management. And that was in the year 2013, when I did my very first international street painting festival. And that was in the Netherlands. I organized this festival for the city of Kerkrade, which is a very small city, and in cooperation with the local scientific museum. And the festival was combined with an art market. So you see some of these, kind of booths, fair booth with art. And the theme of the festival was sustainability and searching for energy. So every artist got this theme and could make an own interpretation, an own idea about this. And this is, for example, an interpretation of an artist, Ruben Poncia, who got also a public award, an award of his a painting. So there was a little competition, and then this is another one. And yeah, it was a nice cooperation with this museum, and it a nice first project for me. And the year after already, the next project followed. So since 2013, every year I'm doing street art festivals. Totally, they are about 17 I did already. And this is the second one, which we repeated in 2016 also, the Street Art Festival Sögel, which took place in a small city again. And it was combined with a food culinary market. So that was special because the people came there and spent all the day there eating, having nice food, and going through the paintings now and then and checking how is the progress. So there was a nice combination. And it was a small city, but it was very crowded. And I also invited street circus artists and street musicians in order to make a nice atmosphere. And it all was a concept for the people spending a whole day in the city and having a nice artistic experience. And yeah, that's the group. So we had a lot of fun, and we were quite a lot of artists. So the year again, I created, like, together with the artists, this kind of community feeling. And especially afterwards, after this festival, there was another project which I call the festival follow-up. So all the artists we see here, they spent another week in the same city, because afterwards we had another festival in a close city called Wilhelmshaven. So all the international artists stayed in the city of Sögel, but with the condition that every artist paints something in the city. So the city government asked for suitable places where the artists can be creative. And that's why some of the electricity boxes in the city now are decorated nicely like this, or why walls in the school, for example, is nicely painted by an artist. Then we had a youth hostel, which was decorated by artists. And for example, promotional columns, which were decorated. And the artists found these objects, and immediately at the place they designed their motives, their images. And another concept which I organized later was the International Madonari Festival in 2017. So 10 years after I visited the Italian festival, I organized the same kind of festival in my hometown, which is a pilgrim town. So I thought that this theme of the religious motifs would fit quite well, and it was a real big success. And in this concept, the artists paint on wooden plates and all religious motifs. And yeah, as you can see, a lot of people were attracted by this. And yeah, we also had a nice groups experiences there always. In the evenings, we met up in a local art studio, and there were many musicians in this team of artists. So this festival in our street painters circles has become the Musinari Festival, which is just because we did so much music at night, because there were so many musicians, and me being a musician too, I just brought my instruments and we had a lot of fun in the night. So another wood art, another concept was the wood art gallery. And this is when the Krefeld project series started, with this initiating project, which was a street art gallery in the woods, or in a natural environment where an old concrete fabric was broke down and left the objects in this area, and the nature conquered back these concrete objects like floors and tubes and whatever. And you can see that the artists found spots in the nature and decorated them nicely, or yeah, and they all were inspired by nature and by the surroundings. So I gave all the artists a few days for sketching, for doing like their own designs for the individual situations, because they were not predictable before. So nobody of the artists could make a design before. So we went there, and right at the place, the artists selected their places and immediately started to design. This was how this concept started, or this was the very first project of this kind of concepts, which I proceeded from then on every year. And you see how the nature got, was the inspiration, and the columns also. And again, we were a lot of artists having a lot of fun, drinking beer, of course. And then the second of this series was the Rhineside Gallery in 2017, which was also in the same city, in Krefeld, but this time a little bit closer to the city center. And there we transformed an old abandoned industrial area into a street art gallery. And it was fun how the artists found their spots and made their own creation. Also, again, they designed their pieces right at the place. And the special thing about this was that with this kind of beachy area, the local community got a place for encounter and for community, because before it was not used at all. And then the local gastronomy put their bars and their restaurant booth there. And so this place became a very nice place for the local community. And until now, every year since then, this area again was used like a beach bar area for cultural activities. They also do concerts there, make DJ evenings, and yeah, it has become a very nice cultural place for the community. And this again is the whole team, about 20 artists, and we had a lot of fun in the community. And the third project in this series was the downtown gallery, where we decorated, or we transformed an old World War bunker into a street art gallery. Yeah, as you can see, we had lights, different lights for the artists. They could change the mood for their paintings, so they could select an own environment or an own light. And the artists got inspired again, of course, by the place itself. And yeah, it was impressive. And it was also very deep experience, because it was a very deep theme. The theme was shelter of humanity. And all the artists had the same theme and got an own image for this. And they were very deep and very emotional. And yeah, this is also a nice example for a design which happened right at the place, because Case McLean, he made a portrait of the artist next to himself, holding a bomb. And this artist next to himself was Karim Musanovic from Bosnia, who is one of the artists, or one of our group, who is most close to the war, like being a refugee of the Bosnian War, coming to Germany. And so that was also very deep work, and it was very amazing to see all the works in a gallery. And this is the team, so also again quite a lot of people, and we had a big fun together. Then the last project I did in this year was the Silk City Gallery, also the last project in the series, because now the series is finished. It was a nice climax to get more and more close to the city center, because the World War bunker was already in the center, but it was still under the earth. And now we were with this Silk City Gallery in the middle of this, in the middle of the city, in the middle of society. And this is a gallery where we transformed a huge event building into a street art gallery. And again, we were a big group, and everybody found an own spot, or in some cases also the artists formed group. For example, in this painting, they painted 4 artists and formed a group to paint this together. And this is a project which is also inspired by our kind of invasion of this building, which was painted by 2 leading artists and also 3 helping artists, who, after finishing their own project, started to help out with this. So this was also a big project of community building and making a whole transformation of a building, the project of a whole group. And yeah, we also again had a lot of fun together and enjoyed the community and the co-creative process. And yeah, that was my little very short and quick presentation of my past most important street art festival projects. And later on, I will talk in my second lecture more about this how I can create these street art experiences, especially for the artists and also for the visitors, which is a little bit my focus in my work. And later on, I will do a little kind of brainstorming about possible effects of street art in society. And yes, this is my presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation and for your way. It feels like you share your emotional way and your community experience really through the screen.
Thank you.
Yeah. And my question is, you have seen your colleagues' presentation before you. Do you feel a difference in a context? Can you say, guys, you are different? And in what way?
You mean different, the other organizers?
Yeah, like the other organizers, because of your huge producer, you know, the producer process, developing process for festivals. Do you feel difference in that way in Russia?
The Russian way, well, I saw just these presentations. I don't know, I think the most, or the biggest difference is the fact that we create the designs right at the place, and we had already in this creation process a big community situation. And I think being an artist by myself and having enjoyed this community always and always seeking for this kind of community, this makes my focus a lot very heavy on this point of community building. And but I saw already, like also Nikita told me about, or told about this, about like fighting for artists' rights, you know, and this is something that I really share with him. So I don't see so much the differences between us, but more the common points in this way, because I totally understand it, because I always work with governments and I have to fight a lot for the artists' needs, and I know what they need and they don't know. So and sometimes I really have to make big argumentations for the needs and fight for it. So that was something I really share with Nikita. And I also always share for fight for artistic freedom also. So I'm more about finding common things that I share with these other organizers. And yeah, I don't know, maybe you can tell me the difference.
Maybe the most difference in the focus on community. You protect and care on talented people, and there are a lot of talented people we saw in your presentation. It is graffiti, street art, plus musician, plus a lot of different ways how to create community, support community. And I think it's really necessary. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe this is also like the point, like having a more global view on this art, also mix up different styles and mix up different age groups also in the community, which serves a lot for an exchange of knowledge, and which I also appreciate a lot. I see that there's learning in between of the artists, also from like more professional and less professional, like there's a big interaction.
And I think it's really interesting way for visitors, because it is some kind of education, not straight education like we are, for example. For us, it's more about lectures, straight communications with visitors. Let's talk about something like that. And you just share the emotional way, and it is some kind of new education for visitors, because they can realize how it works like.
Yes, and it's visible. You see in this project, you see the community, you feel it. And this is something which is a kind of good example also to society, where you see that there's an intercultural meeting, they are doing things together, they meet up. It's like living an example to society also. That's a good point.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, this is a very important point, I think, and this is the task I think we have doing street art a little bit in our society, to have an impact also on social structures in society, and making educational projects in this street art festivals, also to give the society a deeper contact with art. I see myself always more like a kind of bridge for the people of society to get a better way to art, to yeah, and the social aspect is one of the big strengths of street art taking place in the middle of society, I think.
Но уличное искусство, как и любое искусство, может нести и деструктив, ведь самовыражение — это история такая, ну, слишком много зависит от того, в каких обстоятельствах конкретный художник сейчас находится. Он выражает себя, и это может эхом отозваться не самым приятным в обществе. Нужны ли тогда образовательные мероприятия для самих художников? То есть это улица с двухсторонним движением. Должно ли двигаться только общество в сторону художников, или художники должны быть тоже как-то чуть более эмпатичны, может быть, по отношению к проблемам общественным?
Well, I think I always try to invite artists that really reflect on problems in society and that do meaningful art and that communicates and do have an impact on society. And for me, it's important to allow critical art, also art that is not always seen nicely in the society. I think this is a very important task of street art, that street art is not only like showing nice things and being done in a decorative way. I really believe in the power of street art that is more critical and that shows problems in society and that have a more deeper impact. And this is why I really support the idea of artistic freedom, where you don't have any restriction of designs, where there's no process of improvement of designs from other instances. So this is something I really support in my street art festivals. There's never an improvement of designs. So the artists are free and they are informed well about their task, which always include a kind of critical thinking or a kind of expression. And I asked also the artists in interviews during the festivals to talk about their motivation, their ideas, something they want to add to communicate to the public, not only communicating with their images, but also maybe explaining their motivation for painting this, because this is all about storytelling, and the people get more involved in art and in the discussion also that is evoked by street art. And that's what I really like, when street art makes it possible that the whole society discusses themes which are important to society. So this is something where you really need critical street art, and also street art, it's not always necessary that it's liked by the public.
How to fact up the interview with you? For example, if I'm an artist and I want to participate in your festival, can I fact up the interview? Is it possible?
Okay, I see that you got the interview wrong, because the interview is taking place during the festival. So the artists are already in the interview. When they're already in the festival when I'm doing this interview. No, I make a decision of the selection of the artists before the interviews, and this is only based on my experiences, my knowledge of the artists, because most of the artists I invite, I know them, they are friends of mine. And then sometimes I have new artists, so I've always a mixture of well-known artists and some new artists, but not too much new artists because I always like to have a little control. And so I always have a mixture of new artists, and this is like I don't know, it's maybe some kind of knowing people, maybe capacity for knowing people quite well from the first idea, from the first insight. And I most of the time for this groups projects, for example, I do closed invitations. So I don't make an open application process. For example, the Madonari Festival, I did open application. So I get application and then I see the works and I decide by quality and interest in the biography or something where I see, okay, this could be a nice character for the festival, of course. But the groups projects are more controlled because there I pay a lot of attention on this sociable values of the artists, that they perform well in a group, that they are no egos who want to show off, for example. This is something that that I don't like too much in my festivals, if there are characters who really want to show off and put themselves above the others. So for me, the eye level is very important, like also an appreciation of the artists, the other artists' work. And yeah, maybe I don't really reject artists. Before I invite artists, I make already a nice selection. But what I do is that after the festivals, I always do a reflection about the performance of the artists. So when I had the feeling, for example, the new artists, that they didn't fit well in the group, or that they showed off and didn't respect the group's community values, then I don't invite them again. That's the simple way.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.